Throughout history, there have been countless unexplainable stories, events, and moments captured on audio. These horrifying tapes were archived, never to be heard again. Until now. These are the tapes of trepidation. Tape number 90. I work at a family fun center, and I'm pretty sure the Ballpit is bottomless. I've worked at this place for as long as I remember, and it's pretty weird, and even harder to describe. It's your usual family fun indoor park, I guess. There's a million of them all over the place, and they all have different names. We have a shitty little cafe that overcharges for stale hot dogs, and then a buttload of warehouse space filled with random crap to keep kids entertained. There's a jungle gym, an arcade with ancient games, a greasy bowling alley, and there's a ball pit. Honestly, it's a pretty cool job, although it has taught me that kids, in general, are super weird. I remember this one time a random kid came up to me and handed me some marbles and then started laughing. It took me a few minutes to get it out of him, but he told me he'd shoved the marbles up his butt. And now I was touching his butt marbles. And he just thought it was the funniest goddamn thing anyone has ever done. Ever. We have a high turnover rate, that's for sure. We chew through new employees like popcorn. And I think it's because kids have this weird ability to hone in on anyone they make uncomfortable and just thrive off the awkwardness. At least teachers and parents get to deal with one set of kids, right? They get to know them over time. And sure, those kids will occasionally explode or have prolonged periods of being crazy high energy. But for the most part, the parents and teachers are there to manage the kids. But that's the exact opposite of what we do. We're here to manage the center, not the kids. Every kid here is meant to blow off steam. That's why parents bring them here. And it's why they pay the entry fee. We can't make these kids sit down or write lines. We can't threaten them or goad or shout. What we have is a revolving door of kids who are permanently psyched out. And we're just meant to keep them occupied long enough for their parents to smoke a joint around the back or cry in the toilets where no one can see them break down. I gotta say, it's tough. I only stick it out because I'm in management, and that means my job is to get a bunch of teenagers to do all the dirty work. It's like a pyramid scheme, but grosser. Nobody at Enron had to brush vomit out of a crying 9-year-old's hair. Still, I limit my exposure to the kids. And for a damn good reason. They scare the shit out of me. For one thing, there's always the wrong number. This place is always full no matter how many tickets we sell. Most people don't even stay here long enough to notice, but I have. I've spent a few years now counting tickets and then heads, and I know for a fact that there are rainy days in the middle of the coldest winters when we sell 10, maybe 20 tickets at most. But no matter what, the floor is crawling with kids. Another thing, kids go into the ball pit and don't come out. Nobody complains, and nobody's been reported missing. But I know for a fact that not only do some kids never come back out, but some kids that do come out never went in the first place. I already know what you're thinking, that I'm nuts. But I once trialed a photo day just to confirm my suspicions. I took pics of the kids and parents coming and going. I said it was for a competition. And I swear to God, I have dozens of photos of parents coming in with one kid and leaving with a totally different one. I've thought about trying to empty the ball pit out to see if there's anywhere they could go. Like a tunnel I never knew about. I did try to empty it once. It was years ago and I wanted to clean it properly. So I waited until after hours and started scooping balls out and dumping them into empty bins. But after a while, I got scared and stopped. Something about the experience just freaked me out. It was like the more balls I pulled out, the quieter everything got. Like the whole place started to anticipate something. All those weird cartoon characters painted onto the wall with freaky eyes that follow you around the room. The zombie shooter arcade machines that make those stupid fake ghoul noises. The twisty airplane rocket that rocks kids back and forth while blasting obnoxious music. It all kind of faded out. It was like the whole place held its breath, and my head started to throb like the world's worst hangover. And my mouth started tasting all coppery, and it made me want to retch. It freaked me out, and I stopped and just tipped the balls back in. As soon as I did, the pressure in my head released, and the place was full of noise again. Like nothing had even changed. Now I just clean the ball pit up with one of those nets they use for swimming pools. There's always the weirdest stuff in there. Dead mice, crushed insects, dog shit, random goo, and what I can only describe as a series of gifts or messed up experiments. I don't know where they come from, but a week hasn't gone past where I haven't had to fish some half-dead, tortured animal out of the depths of the pit. If I'm lucky, the animal goes peacefully as soon as I pull it out. I can't imagine it's more humane to try and keep the thing alive. I used to think that kids dragged roadkill in there, but after I started paying a little more attention, I noticed things like badly sutured wounds stitched together with random thread, or even half-healed amputations. I don't even think it's possible for a kid to pull off a successful surgery on a squirrel and keep the thing alive, half paralyzed, at the bottom of a ball pit. It just doesn't make sense. But I keep finding them. It's just another reason why I couldn't ask anyone else to do this job. I think most people come and go so quickly, they never realize just how weird it is. I'd rather no one start asking questions. I think if I was braver, I'd try to dig a little deeper. And I encourage others to help me. But no one else has seen the weirdness up close like I have. And I guess my conclusion is this. If we don't know what's down there, why bother it? It's clearly best to just leave it alone. That's why I'm glad we have a high turnover rate. People get super weird if they stick around too long. I've moved a few people on because they started to get a bit loopy. First, we see the paranoia setting in. They start looking at you funny. Or the kids. I mean, the kids I get. But me? What's wrong with me? Second, we see them start to fixate on the Ballpit. People who stay too long obsess over it. When you're not looking, they'll sneak over and try to jam a broomstick into the bottom. When they can't find it, they'll start freaking out, talking about foundations and floor plans. Finally, the worst ones will start trying to go over my head to speak to corporate. They go nuts, asking questions and reading numbers and just begging me over and over. If you're not careful, they can actually become quite threatening. I know you wouldn't think it, but people get really wound up about this kind of stuff. One girl I had to call the cops on. She developed a real unhealthy interest in me. She even asked where I lived. She wanted to know where I slept and ate and who my parents were. Even after I fired her, she kept coming back. And even tried to burn the place down. I think this place messes with people's minds because she started talking about how the number to HQ just went to my office. My driver's license was a fake. My clothes had someone else's name sewn into them. Where did I even go at night? Where did I sleep? Where was my car? She even revealed that one night she camped outside the building and waited for me like some goddamn stalker. When I confronted her about it, she had no defense. She was completely gone over the edge talking about how the old manager went missing years ago. And I was wearing his uniform. And no one had ever seen me outside the center. I'm glad she's gone now because she made me really uncomfortable with that paranoid rambling. I still don't know what she was implying. Honestly, just listening to her gave me a really bad headache with that coppery taste. I still wonder what happened to her. But she's a good example of why we should just leave this thing alone because, sure enough, the next week I found myself fishing one of her shoes out of the Ballpit. I think what was weirdest about that was it wasn't covered in blood or anything like that. It just had a small note asking me, personally, for help. She was so troubled. I tried to tell her to stop, tried to give her some clue. When I'd fired her, just before the stalking started, she had started asking me all these questions about how long I'd been working here and whether I'd seen the bottom of the Ballpit, and I kept trying to tell her. I've been here as long as I can remember, and I'm pretty sure the Ballpit is bottomless. Well, now she can be sure about it too. This has been tape number 90. I work at a family fun center, and I'm pretty sure the Ballpit is bottomless. By the Tapes of Trepidation Horror Narration Podcast. I work at a family fun center, and I'm pretty sure the Ballpit is bottomless. Was written by ChristianWallis. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. And was originally posted on the Creepypasta Wiki. Narration, production, and sound design for this episode was by me, TJ Hodder. Credits for music and any additional sound design can be found in the show notes. The Tapes of Trepidation theme was written by the incredible J.M. Scherf. All logos, banners, overlays, and graphic design work was provided by the talented Jason Reese from Jaybird Digital Arts. If you have a story you would like to submit or question regarding the show, please contact us at tapesoftrepidation@gmail.com. Support the show by subscribing and leaving a rating on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcatcher, or like and subscribe on YouTube. And be sure to tell your friends. Word of mouth is extremely helpful to a podcast like this one. And check us out on social media through the link tree in the show notes. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. On top of submitting stories through the email, you can also submit stories on Discord or on the Tapes of Trepidation subreddit. If you would like to know the rules for stories and what kind of stories I'm looking for, feel free to shoot me an email. Or you can find the information on that on the Discord, along with a lot of other fun things. Come hang out with us on Discord. We have a blast, and it's always wonderful interacting with fans of the podcast on there. And if you'd like to support the show a little more, consider joining the Tapes of Trepidation Patreon. With as little as $5 a month, you can gain access to monthly bonus short stories / micropasta narrations, the weekly behind-the-scenes podcast within the archive, and more. So come, join us, and become trapped within the archive. Just like my current patrons. Doozer Pin Dan, Ronan Komori, Eric Phones, Patrick Stewart, Madam Strangeways, Dr. Torment, Tori, Queen Cam, and Kai Faden. Thank you all so much for the support. I seriously couldn't do this without you guys. All content used on Tapes of Trepidation is either original, used with permission, or is available on your Creative Commons by Share Alike license. All rights reserved, unless otherwise stated. A link to licensing information can be found in the show notes. This podcast and its content may not be redistributed or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Tapes of Trepidation and the story's author. Thank you all so much for listening.